humor, laugh your asses off if it's funny. If it's not, boo them off the stage. Villain clips, things about Donald Trump, things you don't like. Donald Trump did this or that. Boo your hearts out if you want to. We're going to get a lot of energy in this room. And heckler rule. Anyone in here come in as a heckler? Well, not quite like that. You're like on our team. If you came in here on the other team, the anti-democracy team, I hate to tell you, when you try to claim your moment and stand up and heckle the event, the rest of the people here are going to boo you like crazy. That's what we got, friends. Most of all, let me just extend, for me, my wife, our family, a very personal note of gratitude to all of you. I will just tell you, without going into detail, you all have changed my life. You all have changed our lives. Thank you for your courage. Thank you. That's right. The show will start very soon.
As soon as you get out of the suit.
I'm going to have to hop this way.
We didn't rehearse this.
This is not covered by insurance. In the meantime, as I always say, stay loud, stay brave, and stay together.
Hey. Thank you, Miles. Okay, now what do we have next? Some waiting music. Let's get the cues going. Let's get all the people into the streams.
The worker circle now. They were trying to get me to see if you guys are interested in giving me speak and like represent the families of the detainees. I went over there and said I need a call from the worker circle.
take your seat. The live stream is ready to begin. Please take your seat. The live stream is ready to begin.
Before there was a nation, there was an idea. That ordinary people, in extraordinary moments, could bend history towards something better. For 250 years we have been tested, and every time we have struggled. We have fought.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
And we have risen.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Because defiance is the engine of this country.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
I don't believe it. Unbelievable. There we go. There's the slam.
So then, how did we end up here?
Are you a U.S. citizen, sir? Why would I answer you?
Minneapolis police chief says a woman was killed after being shot in the head by an ICE agent.
A nation awake, led by a man who is not a theater of noise.
Excuse me, I'm going to answer the question.
We're a superpower, and under President Trump,
A system that speaks in spectacle and answers to no one.
But you're pretending like you're a journalist, but you're
she was trying to ram this guy with her car.
I used to snort cocaine off of toilet seats.
To defeat the swamp, we must enter the swamp. Not as part of it, but as the storm that floods it. From places power never looks, from voices it never counts.
DC sandwich guy.
acquitted.
Out of our city!
If you have a fucking blower, bring it up!
Where are you from, Mr. Mills, with your big ass body? Come on, man, look at your officers. Hey, the famous guy.
We rise.
Organizers say at least 7 million Americans took to the streets.
People who refuse to sit down.
Say it again.
I will not stop now. I will not stop ever.
Fear is the tool of a tyrant.
Hi, Mr. President.
So, FCCU.
So if you stand for truth, I need you to stand up today!
I ain't backing down.
Eyes out.
Defiance built this country, Defiance freed it, and tonight, Defiance returns.
Hello, everybody! Woo! Good evening, everyone here in the room, everyone on the live stream across America. I am Miles Taylor, the founder of Defiance.org. Welcome to State of the Swamp, the rebuttal to the State of the Union. If you don't know about us, I'm going to tell you quickly. We are a nonprofit civic club founded to answer one question. What can I do? Every single week, we announce an action to combat one of Donald Trump's abuses of power, whether that is supporting the whistleblowers disclosing violations of the Constitution from inside this administration, whether that is suing Donald Trump all the way to the Supreme Court, whether that is standing with protesters in the streets and helping them know their rights to document agents violating the law, Or as we announced last month, bringing together prosecutors to hold those agents accountable when they violate the law. I'm going to tell you something about our organization and our members. We're not doom scrollers. We're not whiners. We do. And this event tonight is called what it is because Donald Trump came to Washington on a promise. He promised he would drain the swamp, the corruption, and the grift. And instead of draining the swamp, he turned America into the swamp. He expanded the swamp. But we thought, who better to help us navigate the swamp than a creature born in the swamp? The frogs. If you had your head buried in the sand last year, you might have missed that the symbol of defiance in the United States of America became the frog. Why? Because when Donald Trump looked into Portland, Oregon, and he said, the protesters are terrorists and insurrectionists, some brave people showed up at an ICE facility armed with inflatable frog costumes. They inflated, they danced to EDM music, and it was one of the greatest Emperor has no clothes moments we have ever seen in American history. I want to thank the Portland Frog Brigade for helping to co-host this event tonight. Thank you to the Portland Frog Brigade. Media partners, many follow on Substack. I want to thank Now This, and I especially want to thank ticket holders and members of Defiance.org in all 50 states and territories, by the way, for their courage and commitment. Thank you. I have got 3 quick things to say to Donald Trump tonight. The first one is this: my crowd is bigger than your crowd. And given what I know about how many Democratic members of Congress have boycotted the State of the Union tonight, that is a fact. And he is not going to like that there are more people on the floor here than there are going to be on the House floor of the House of Representatives. Second thing I want to tell Donald Trump: you tried to silence me. You tried to silence us, and you failed. Like a lot of people in this room, I stood up against that man. My family suffered the consequences. Twice I have lost jobs because of him. I have lost our savings because of him. I have lost our family's security. I have lost close friends. I'm not the only one who's been threatened. My wife has been threatened. My 18-month-old daughter has been threatened. And you know what? That's how the President of the United States wanted it. He wanted to shut us up. He wanted to shut us up. And when we wouldn't shut up, he of course said, well, the reason we wouldn't shut up is because we're trying to make a buck. And I'll tell you what, it was really important that he said that, because it showed me something I'd forgotten. That Donald Trump underestimates the opposition because he doesn't understand them. We are not like him. I am not like him. Donald Trump may be in this to make a buck, to take taxpayer dollars from you. But unlike Donald Trump, we can't be bribed. We can't be bought. We can't be bullied. And we will not barter our conscience for a better room in a skyscraper. And finally, let me say this. Donald Trump may have turned America into his personal swamp out there across the country, but we will be the ones to drain it. And I'm going to make you a promise tonight. Like dictators before him, his fake gold facade will fall. And the people in this room and across America will spend years removing his name and his legacy from buildings. We will remove his name from monuments. We will remove his name from government programs he has desecrated. And I will tell you this, at the end of all of that, in place of the faded words of Donald J. Trump on the facade of those buildings and facilities, we will put the words of the United States Constitution. So let me say this. Donald Trump did something he did not expect. He united us. Donald Trump united millions of Americans across this country who are now determined and who are now defiant. And tonight, at this event, you will not hear from him. You will hear from them. So let me first welcome to the stage someone who has been a vocal and strident defender of the United States Constitution and the First Amendment. Please welcome Zedio founder Medi Hassan.
Why? But we'll also ask number two, strong? Strong? Is a democracy strong when a secret police is murdering American citizens in the street in cold blood? Is a democracy strong when lawmakers are being indicted, journalists are being arrested, comedians are being pulled off the air? Is a democracy strong when judges are being threatened, their rulings ignored, their families are being mentioned? Because the truth is that the state of our union is not strong, it is weak, it is stressed. It is being stress tested right now by a man who declares himself a dictator, who has always believed that laws are for other people. For other people. A man who not just frustrates us, he angers us. And here's the thing though, the fact that you are angry is a good thing. The fact that you are alarmed at the state of our democracy is a good thing. The fact that you are here, watching, organizing, showing up, making noise is a good thing. Because apathy is what authoritarians rely on. Our silence is what they feed off of. They want you to look around at all the chaos and say, it's just too much. They want you to think nothing I do matters. They want you to believe that voting is pointless. It won't make a difference. But democracy is not a spectator sport. It's a participation one. Democracy is not something you have. It's something you do. It's something you build and rebuild again and again, time after time, generation after generation, tyrant after tyrant. You rebuild it. This country has faced dark times before. Slavery, segregation, McCarthyism, all of those things were defeated, not because America is immune to fascism or autocracy. It isn't. But because ordinary people, citizens, decided that they would not accept those things as natural or normal in this country. So tonight, when Trump gives his State of the Union, I want you to remember, his speech, God help us all, is not what matters. What matters is what happens after his speech. What matters is what we do next. Remember, fascism is not destiny. It is a choice. It can be fought. It can be rejected. But only if we reject it together. And you know what gives me hope tonight? What gives me hope is that there are more of us than there are of them. There are more of us than there are of them. Ladies and gentlemen, Brothers and sisters, America has been saved before, not by presidents, not by billionaires, not by kings, but by citizens. It will be saved again the exact same way. By you, by me, by we, the people. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Next to the stage, former Homeland Security Advisor at the White House, Olivia Troy.
I'm short. Here it is. I defy blind loyalty to any one man. I defy fear as a governing strategy. And I defy the idea that patriotism belongs to any one party. I'm Olivia Troy. I did serve in the first Trump White House. I sat in the rooms where decisions were made, and I saw what happens when power stops serving the country and starts serving itself. So I walked away. Not because it was easy, but because integrity mattered more than my title. I knew there would be consequences, not just for me, but for my family. I was serving in his White House, and I stood up to him publicly. When too many chose comfort over courage, they still do that today. Because I knew what a second term would unleash. And now we're living it. This isn't law and order. It is power demanding obedience. This is not the America that I swore an oath to protect. Donald Trump demands loyalty to him. We, the people, demand loyalty to the Constitution. I stand here as a daughter of an all-American boy who grew up on a farm and became a truck driver, and a Mexican immigrant mother. Mama, gracias. Te amo. I am the American dream, and that promise is being broken now. While Republican leadership in Washington demands applause tonight, families like the one I grew up in are choosing between rent and groceries, working full-time and still falling behind. Immigrant families are living with real fear. Parents are afraid to take their children to school. Workers are afraid to show up at jobs they've held for years. Families are hurting. That's the real state of the union, Donald Trump. But let me be clear, we will not let fear control us. So here's my message to those Trump enablers sitting in the Capitol tonight. We are not your audience. We are your employers. And we will remind you of that at the ballot box. I believe in ethics over ego. I believe the American dream is worth defending. And I'm asking all of you here in the audience tonight and at home to defend it with me. Not with violence, not with hatred, but with courage, like the courage that it takes to show up tonight. Keep showing up, organize, protect your neighbors, refuse to be silent, and most of all, you've got this, you know this, vote. Because fear doesn't work here. Not in our cities, not in our communities, not in this country. We are not afraid. We are not silent, and we will not back down. I stood up once, and I never backed down. And I know millions of Americans are ready to stand with me. So when I say stand up, you say defy. Stand up. Defy. We stand up. Defy. Let's defy together. Have a great night. Thank you, Portland Frog Brigade. You're awesome. To my friend Miles Taylor, thank you for putting this together. See you all later.
Please welcome to the stage Congressman Jason Crowe, Democrat of Colorado.
Hi, everybody. Well, Donald Trump keeps on trying to put me in prison. A few weeks ago, he asked his political goons at DOJ to try to get a grand jury to indict me and Mark Kelly and Alyssa Slotkin and our other fellow vets. They failed. They will always fail. Because I took an oath to this country. I've taken many oaths to this country to defend this country against all enemies, foreign and domestic. It's a lifetime oath, and it never stops for me. But here's the thing. This wasn't about our video. This wasn't about us actually doing our job as members of Congress and reminding our service members of what their obligation and what their duty compels them to do. What it was Donald Trump trying to send a message to America. It wasn't about me. It wasn't about the video. The message that he was trying to send is that if you step out of line, if you dare speak up, if you dare question authority, that we will come and we will crush you. That the costs will be too high. Well, he failed to send that message. He chose the wrong people, and he's been trying to send that message in other places, in Minneapolis, in Portland, in Denver, and he's failing everywhere. Well, they're trying to send us messages, so I have a message for them. I'm pretty bad about sitting back in a foxhole and letting people just throw grenades at me and just taking it. So we are going to start imposing costs on them. I'm taking names. Justice and accountability is coming. You cannot hide behind your masks forever. And if you think you can operate with impunity, murder Americans, deport Americans, abuse our communities, violate the law, turn your back on the Constitution, accountability is coming. They think, Donald Trump thinks, that fear is contagious. He wants us to be afraid, and he wants it to spread like wildfire. What is instead more and more clear is that courage is more contagious. There are plenty of examples of cowardice in our country. CEOs bending the knee, law firms cowing, universities kissing the ring. But here's the thing. At great moments in our nation's history, when we've been up against the ropes, it's never been the elite and the privileged that have come to save us. Never has. And it's never their story. It's never the story of those who bow and cow and cower. It's always the people. Everyday Americans, the Alex Prettys, the Renee Goods, who gave their life to literally stand in the breach. The thousands of Minnesotans who at great risk stood on the line and documented and filmed and took pictures so that the rest of the world in America could see the abuses and what was happening. They are the ones. We are the ones. This is our moment. We will continue to stand up. The tide is turning in America. Courage is contagious. Don't give up the ship. Thank you.
And now a video message from congressional candidate George Conway.
We have a criminal in the White House, a wannabe dictator who wants this country run just for him and to screw everyone else. He's not a president. He's a deranged narcissist steamrolling our democracy. This isn't normal, and we can't let that loser, Donald Trump, get away with it. So get up, speak out, and vote. Don't let them lie to you. Call out this administration for the grifters they are every chance you get. And don't let him bully you. He thrives on fear because he doesn't want us to know how weak, dumb, and sad of a little man he really is. Don't give up. We'll win this, and we'll impeach him and anyone else complicit in destroying our democracy. And we'll make America normal again.
Please welcome to the stage a panel on the fight for the First Amendment led by moderator Jim Acosta, host of The Jim Acosta Show, Delaware Governor Matt Meyer, award-winning journalist Terry Moran, and civil rights leader, best-selling author, and Committee for the First Amendment co-chair Rashad Robinson.
Wow. Oh my goodness. This is incredible. Why did I not get frog ears or frog eyes? Should I put one on? What do you think? I don't know. As an old news guy, the hair is very important. You know, I'm 6'2" with the hair. You know, oh, thank you very much. I appreciate it. All right. Why not? You know what? As a wise man once said, we'll do it live. Welcome to the National Press Club. It has not been renamed the Trump National Press Club. And it never fucking will. And for those of you who watch my show, you know I say the F word all the time, so we just say fuck it, right? If we're not going to say fuck in a time like this, when are we going to say it, ladies and gentlemen? That is my position, and I think it makes a lot of sense. We have an esteemed panel joining us this evening to talk about this fight for the First Amendment. That was one of the very first things that Trump went after in Trump 1.0, and he, of course, went after it again this second time around. We've got a great panel. Let's have everybody introduce themselves, starting with you, Rashad, and then we'll go down the line here.
Hey, everyone. I love this energy. I'm Rashad Robinson. I'm a civil rights leader, and I am the co-chair of the Committee for the First Amendment, working to protect the First Amendment all around the country, moving artists and activists to stand up.
All right.
And I'm Terry Moran. I'm an independent journalist.
I am Matt Meyer, governor of the first state, and there are more frogs in this room than there are people in my state. Thank you.
Very good. We love the first state. There was a whole thing we would go get the beer. Could we get the beer on Sundays, or you couldn't get the beer on Sundays?
Get the beer on Sunday any day, 24/7.
Oh, very good.
Not
Okay.
24/7.
I remember that, being a D.C. kid, going to the beach. Anyway, I digress. We've got important things to talk about. Governor, let me start with you first. You have not been governor of Delaware for very long, but one of the very first things that you did was stand up for the First Amendment, stand up for the free press. And tell us about that.
That's right. Two of the first bills I signed were making sure you cannot ban books in our great state of Delaware. And the second thing was making sure slap lawsuits. There were these lawsuits where people try to misuse the First Amendment to prevent people from letting their voice be heard, and we're not going to have any of that in our first state. More broadly, what I'd say is what I'm seeing with the First Amendment, but not just the First Amendment, across our community in Delaware and across the country, is that billionaires are taking control. That we have a president who has used the worst of Citizens United to put this country at the disposal of a very few people, very few privileged people who want a country that's very, very different from what you and I want. And they're controlling the media. They're controlling what the citizens of Delaware see and hear and understand. They're controlling what each of you understand. And tonight in the State of the Union, I think we're going to see more of that, of media manipulation, information manipulation. I so appreciate events like this where people are standing up and saying, we the people are stronger than these few. We need to fight to win our country. We are winning. Look at the numbers. We are winning. Thank you for being here.
Hey, thank you, Governor. And I can see the sign that says damn straight right over your head there. So it reminds me a little bit of another Delawarean back in the day who might have been down the street, and if only he were still there. But anyway, Terry Moran, independent journalist. Terry was being modest, a longtime ABC News correspondent, White House correspondent, Supreme Court reporter. Terry's one of the best in the business. And, you know, Terry, you were ahead of the curve in one very big way. For those of you who don't remember, Terry put out a tweet about Stephen Miller, and it made a lot of news and pissed off some corporate overlords at ABC. Terry, talk about that and why that was important, because to me, that was a sneak preview of coming attractions. Look what has happened with respect to Terry. Yeah, look what has happened with the effect that Stephen Miller has had on this country. Look at the effect. ICE in Minnesota, the detention centers, which I want to talk more about. But Terry, tell us about that moment, why you did it, and what do you think it means going forward?
Well, I wrote it because I thought it was true.
There you go.
And you know, that is actually why it's become a big deal. It's become a big deal in my life. It got me fired. But it's become a big deal in some ways, which is odd. And I will say there was nothing planned about it, although I will also add, because it was posted at 5 minutes after midnight, some people, it was not a drunk tweet. I promise. What it was a very sober, what it was, in fact, I was quite proud of it in many ways, still am. Yeah. What it was something that had been, you know, I'd been reporting on this administration, interviewed the president, had a good time with that, and then over the course of days and weeks, it was just gnawing at me, fretting, right, tossing and turning about our country and what's happening to it. And I was out walking the dog, so I'm blaming the dog for this. And I just said, that guy, that effing guy, because I'm not going to drop that.
I'm sorry, yeah.
I can't. It's my dear mother in heaven. But it started, it was in the middle of the afternoon. I was pondering it, and then, you know, we had dinner and watched, what was it? We watched some movies, a George Clooney movie, so I'm blaming George Clooney as well.
Good night and good luck, maybe, or something.
No, that's what everybody says. Did you go see the play, and were you inspired? No, it was, the kids had never seen that. I can't remember. Anyway, Ocean's 11. That's what it was, which is a great family movie, but if you want to keep your job, don't watch it. Anyway, so I we got into bed, and as one does, is on the phone, and I kind of had come up with something in my head, and I posted it. I thought, okay. And just before I hit send, actually, I thought to myself, this is hot, this is, you know, hard language. But then I thought, it's a description. I thought, this is a description of the public man that we see every day that is just horrifying as an American public official. Yes, and it was, I guess, getting to me. Anyway, the next morning, you got to take that down, da-da-da-da-da. I will say this, the White House made clear that if I wasn't fired, all right, I'm telling a tale out of school here. ABC News was like, you're going to be on a 2-week suspension if we can keep it to that, but it's going to the West Coast. And this is the only reason I mention that, because that's the corporate pressure on Disney. And then I knew it was done at that point. But here's what I learned from it. Now that I'm in independent media, where so much is happening, I love it. I love it. I love it. The First Amendment isn't, a statement of law. It isn't even a commitment to law. It is a practice, and we have to practice it because we can't count on a lot of institutions to do it for us.
That's right, and that's what tonight is all about in many ways. I mean, you know, we're here guarding the First Amendment right here, all of you with us tonight. You're defending it. You're on the front lines, and all of you who supported us tonight. Thank you. Yeah, give yourself a round of applause. It means a lot. Even the frogs. Even the frogs. Especially the frogs. And Rashad, tell us about how you've been on the front lines of this battle for the First Amendment in this country. And you've been working with somebody who I think the audience might know something about. Tell us about that.
Well, the Committee for the First Amendment is a project that was founded or refounded by Jane Fonda, whose father was part of the original Committee for the First Amendment. And it includes over 3,000 artists, and celebrities who are working to use their power to help more people recognize what's at stake and also to challenge their own industry about what is happening, both the consolidation of media, the ways in which corporations are engaged. But let me be clear about what's happening. As someone who has led the largest boycott in American history, which was the $7 billion boycott against Facebook because of the ways in which their algorithms and the ways in which their corporate profits put us in harm's way, is that corporations every single day are trying to make us believe that the inequality that we see in the world is unfortunate rather than unjust. And the ways in which they're trying to make us feel like it's unfortunate rather than just is because they want us to ask for charitable solutions to structural problems. They want us to be able to say that we send water bottles to communities that don't have clean water instead of cleaning the pipes. We do after-school programs instead of actually dealing with the inequality in public education. And along the way, they want to take away our voice in the process. But what I've understood every single day is that we will always lose in the back rooms if we don't have people lined up at the front door. And so our work today and our work moving forward is to be able to raise our voices in very clear ways and to hold the enablers accountable and to say that you cannot come for our money by day and try to take away our vote by night, try to make us unsafe by night, try to make it harder for us to be able to get health care and all of the other things we deserve. So our First Amendment is why I get to sit here today. But I also want us to recognize that part of this work is recognizing that there is no time machine that we should be trying to get in and go backwards. I am a black, gay civil rights leader, and besides besides like clothes and music, there's no time in the past that I want to go back to. I don't want to get out of that time machine and see how things are working. So our work today is also about what do we do together to build the future that we all deserve, a future that we actually haven't ever experienced. That is going to be the work about coming together and facing those that stand in our way. And that is the work that we have to do to move forward.
There you go. Wonderful. And Governor, Governor, one of the things that Rashad just said that I want to pick up on, he said a lot that I want to pick up on, but he's talking about our vote. Our vote is our voice. It is an expression of our freedom of speech, freedom of thought. And right now, Donald Trump, I think, is trying to damage that. He's trying to pull a fast one with this SAVE Act or Save America Act. They give it a different name every week because they're trying to pull a fast one. And they want to, he says, oh, it's just voter ID. What's the big deal with voter ID? Putting that to the side, tucked in that legislation is a provision that would basically hand over state voter rolls to the Department of Homeland Security. Not that he would do anything nefarious with that. Oh, of course not. But Governor, what are your thoughts on all of that?
I have a mentor, not in politics, just in life, who shortly after I was a public school teacher, ran for a county office. He sat me down and he said, you have the trust of the people right now. You're new, you're shiny, right? You have the trust of the people. You only get that once, and you can lose that. And we can all think of people who have lost that. Our president has lost the credibility of the American people. And so when he stands up and says something like the save, do you think someone who led us into January 6th is looking to save our votes? He has no credibility. And so you can look at the passport requirements and birth certificate requirements and the hints that ICE is coming to polling places near you. And we all need to stand up. I'm going to do my part as governor of Delaware. I've spent a few days in D.C. with Democratic and even a few Republican colleagues who are raising their hands saying they're going to stand up and do their part. But we also need you to do your part. Let's stand up to this nonsense.
Yeah,
this
absolutely.
is not who we are.
That's right. And Terry, another thing that Rashad mentioned, and Rashad, I feel like you're doing a better job than myself moderating this, but you brought up the power of the boycott. There was a time, Terry, when you know, it was sort of conventional wisdom. Oh, boycotts don't make a difference. What can you do? Look what happened with ABC and Disney. When they tried to silence Jimmy Kimmel, they tried to silence him. People started canceling their Disney Plus. All of a sudden, they got some religion over there in Hollywood.
Absolutely. Religion meaning money.
Yeah.
But also, you're onto something,
mighty dollar.
Which is that Trump is modeling himself, in particular after this guy, Viktor Orban in Hungary, right? And before him, Putin. And there's a game plan, right? We're seeing it in operation right now. Orban and before him, Putin and the Law and Justice Party in Poland did it. They strip the media assets, or they get their cronies to buy them, and there is all of a sudden no dissent. But today, that won't work in America, because we're all over the media, right? I mean, there's not just 3 networks. When I was a kid, I always wondered, and when I got to ABC, I still wondered, why do all 3 networks tell the exact same story in the exact same way, in the exact same order, every single night? It's a big world, right? That is no longer the case. And so I think this kind of event, which Miles helped organize for Defiance, and this is something that they will have a very big, hard time stopping.
I agree, totally. And just today, Terry, they were talking, I mean, it's in the news that Warner Brothers Discovery might try to sell off to Paramount, that their bid is looking better, which would give the Ellisons control over CBS, potentially, and CNN. And as I've said at other events, if I were in charge of CNN, I would fire Scott Jennings. I would fire his ass immediately. Does anybody here want Scott Jennings doing the evening news on 2 different networks? Give me a break, Jesus. Rashad, last thought from you before we go. Are you hopeful in all of this? This is a big year.
I have to be an optimist. The progress can only be achieved if we believe something bigger is possible. And I think the message I want to leave everyone here with is that we cannot mistake the presence and the awareness that people have for actual change. Presence is only a piece. We have to build power. And power is about challenging the institutions that stand in our way, but most of all, power is about our ability to actually change the rules. It's the written rules and it's the unwritten rules. And so I think for any one of you and every single day, 5, 10, 15 years from now, we're going to look back at this moment and we're going to have to be accountable for what we did and how we showed up. And the story that we get to write right now is a story that we either get to be the protagonist or we get to be a bystander. And so talk to the people in your communities. Invite the people in your networks. Show up in your listservs. Show up on your WhatsApp chats. Show up to your family conversations. But show up every single day and engage people. Our ability to look back at this moment and tell the story about what we did to change what's happening starts now.
All right.
Let's do it.
All right. And on that note, I'll just close this out because we're over time. I'll close it out with the message that I left when I departed my old place, as I call it now, when I left the anchor desk and jumped into independent media. And I think it still holds today, and that is, do not give in to the lies. We're going to hear a lot of lies tonight. Don't give in to the lies. There's a lot of fear these days. Look what's happening across this country with these detention camps, what's happening in Minnesota and ICE. Don't give in to the fear. Hold on to the truth and hold on to hope.
And fuck ICE.
And fuck ICE. And thanks for joining us.
A big round of applause for Jim Acosta, Rashad Robinson, Terry Moran, and Delaware Governor Matt Meyer. There we go. Next up, we have a video message from author and To the Contrary Substack newsletter writer Charlie Sykes.
Were you watching Stephen Colbert the other night when he called out the craven cowards of CBS and gave a huge middle finger to Trump's FCC? My friends, this is how you do it. You lean in, expose them, defy them, never back down. Look, you're all here tonight because you recognize that this is the fight of our lifetimes, the challenge of our generation. Because if we get this right, we can save the American experiment. But that requires clear heads and brave hearts. Donald Trump wants you to believe that resistance is futile, that MAGA is unstoppable. But it is not. In fact, it's waiting its turn in the trash bin of history. So let's put it there. What should we do? Never accept that what's happening is normal. Have the moral courage to do what's right. Don't be afraid to call fascism by its proper name. And always remember, amid all of the cruelty and the insanity, that you are not the crazy ones. Thank you.
We will now hear from defiant voices on the rule of law. Please welcome to the stage Ambassador Norm Eisen, founder of Democracy Defenders Action.
Good evening, friends, and I'm pleased to be here to tell you that the state of the resistance is strong. Travel back with me to 2009, back when BlackBerries were cool. We would print MapQuest directions for road trips, and Donald Trump was still recovering from his most recent bankruptcy. I was working in the White House for my law school classmate and friend Barack Obama as the ethics czar. Shortly after taking office, President Obama prepared to deliver his first joint address to Congress, and the president was so committed to ethics that nearly a quarter of that first State of the Union speech originated from the work he and I and our wonderful team did to make government more ethical. Today, not so much. In fact, I don't think that thing that's happening a few blocks from here even deserves to be called the State of the Union. It really should be called the state of the unethical, or the state of the unconstitutional, or the state of the unhinged. Whatever you call it, it's unacceptable. But here's what is acceptable. Fighting peacefully, lawfully, and vigorously for our democracy, like we do at my organization, Democracy Defenders Fund, and our sister organization, Democracy Defenders Action. We have over 260 legal cases and matters fighting against Trump's autocracy in the court of law and in the court of public opinion. We fight through the contrarian. You're welcome. In fact, Miles Taylor, who introduced me, is one of our clients. We have fought Trump's attempts to end birthright citizenship. We've challenged ICE's horrific abuses of power across America. We've held the DOJ accountable for hiding the Epstein files. We defended Prop 50 and the votes of Californians. And we, on behalf of conservatives, representing every Republican administration from Nixon to Trump 1, filed briefs opposing Donald Trump's illegal tariffs that were just struck down by the Supreme Court. We do that with our wonderful partners you're going to hear from and meet many of them shortly Our coalition, as you'll see, won't rest. We aren't deterred, and we won't stop as long as these threats persist. Just yesterday, we launched our latest initiative to expose Donald Trump's crypto corruption. We will not let him and his cronies get away with it. Our democracy coalition won't let them get away with it. Just look around this room. Look at what we've been able to accomplish together in just the past year. Inflatable frogs and inflatable lawyers. The fight goes on, and I'm so proud to be here with each and every one of you. Thank you, friends.
Please welcome to the stage former national security official and author Asha Rangapa.
I defy the idea that cruelty makes a country strong. Tonight, there's going to be a lot of talk about strength. Strong borders, strong leaders, strong America. But I'm here to say, as someone who spent years enforcing the laws of this country, there is nothing strong about abandoning the rule of law. Because the rule of law is not just a set of rules. It is a moral promise. And here's the part that often gets lost. The rule of law only survives if ordinary people have moral courage. Not dramatic courage, not movie scene courage, the everyday kind of courage. The courage to say, this is not right. The courage to refuse to go along. The courage to see other people as fully human. And here's the part that I want us to sit with tonight. The root of moral courage is empathy. Do you know what Elon Musk said? He said, the problem is there is too much empathy. I say there is not enough. Empathy is what stops us from treating people as enemies instead of neighbors. Empathy is what stops the law from becoming a weapon. Empathy is what reminds us that power exists to protect the vulnerable, not to punish them. And let me let you in on a secret. You know who knows this better than anyone? Authoritarians. They know that if they drain empathy from a society, they can hollow it out from the inside. So they tell us to fear one another. They tell us some people don't belong. They tell us that cruelty is strength. But cruelty is not strength. Cruelty is what happens when empathy disappears, and when empathy disappears, the rule of law is next. I've seen this up close. The most dangerous moments are not when laws are broken loudly. It's when they're bent quietly, justified politely, and obeyed without question. History teaches us again and again the greatest harms are not carried out by monsters, they are carried out by regular people who convince themselves they have no choice, that it's not their responsibility, that someone else will speak up. Moral courage is refusing that lie. It's choosing empathy when obedience would be easier. It's choosing principle when silence would be safer. Empathy is courageous, courage is courageous, and democracy is courageous. Stand up.
And now a word from district attorneys across America.
Are we in Germany?
Stop! Whoa! He said he doesn't have to show a warrant. How can I relax? You just killed my neighbor.
You raise your voice, I raise your voice. Yeah, I'm shooting.
I've had enough.
Enough with the warrantless arrests.
Enough with the illegal home entry.
Enough with the violent assault.
Federal officers do not have absolute immunity.
They do not have permission to break the law. And they do not have the right to violate your constitutional rights.
And they certainly do not have the unchecked power
To deprive you of your life and liberty. I am a prosecutor.
I am a district attorney.
I'm a prosecutor.
I am a district attorney.
I am a district attorney.
I am a prosecutor.
And we're coming together from around the country
To fight against federal overreach.
FAFO will not tolerate these abuses of power.
We will work together to make sure federal officers
uphold the law in our states and cities.
Where federal officers break the law, they will be prosecuted.
No one
is above the law.
Learn more about us at federaloverreach.org.
You've had enough?
And we hear you.
That, by the way, is an organization that was started by Defiance.org. Next up, I want you to welcome to the stage a group of speakers focused on the power of the people, starting with Congresswoman Maxine Dexter, Democrat of Oregon, along with the Portland Frog Brigade.
I will get it. Sorry. Good evening. I am Maxine Dexter, really proud to be here tonight with you. And I think you can see, thank you. I love you. I'm a mother. I am a physician, and I have a flag. And I am the proud representative for Oregon's 3rd Congressional District. Yes, thank you. Thank you. And tonight, I defy Trump and his authoritarian project by standing in joyful, radical, peaceful resistance with the Portland Frog Brigade. All right. When Donald Trump said Portland was a war zone, when he tried to send in federal troops, boo. When he tried to scare America into submission, Portland answered. We answered with frog costumes. We answered with dancing, singing, and joy when Trump wanted us to cower in fear. And today, there is no federal takeover of Portland. That's right. That's right. National Guard troops have been sent home where they belong. Because joy is resistance. Creativity is resistance. Community is resistance. And our movement is filled with people who refuse to sit down, to shut up, or even to stop ribbiting. Yes. So let me ask you, are you tired of being lied to? Yes. Are you tired of billionaires running the show? Are you tired of watching democracy get sold off piece by piece? Hell yeah. Okay, so then I want you to get loud. Thank you. When I say stay, you say loud. Stay. Loud. Stay. Loud. Stay. Loud. Amazing. That is amazing. Okay. So I'm going to transition here for a second because, you know, this is about our country. And our country has never been perfect. But every time we've had the courage to fight, we've emerged stronger and more prosperous. That struggle is what makes our country worth believing in. It is because this country chose to invest in our communities. They invested in well-funded public schools, excellent transit, union jobs, and affordable higher education, at least where I grew up in the Northwest. I was able to achieve an American dream and build a better life than my parents. And I still believe that path is available to our children, to our generations, but they are not seeing it right now. We can build something better. We can build a country where the economy works for working people, where people have access to affordable, comprehensive health care, where we treat the climate crisis like the existential threat it actually is, and where we defend our democracy for our children and our grandchildren. So let's build this world together. It's fueled by joyful resistance and the Portland Frog Brigade. Give it up for the frogs.
Please welcome to the stage Emmy-nominated storyteller, comedian, and Substack writer Baratunde Thurston.
I am so honored to be able to follow the Frog Brigade. Yes! Stand up. Y'all already forgot. There you go. There you go. I defy the lie that we are powerless. I want to welcome you with a happy Black History Month. I see you. My name is Baratunde Thurston. I am a son and grandson of Washington, D.C. Chocolate City, or a more caramel flavor these days, dripping in gold temporarily. Temporarily. I saw my 100-year-old grandmother earlier today. She said something really profound. She said, and I quote, "The electric slide is made for me." At 100-year-old, she still wants to dance from her wheelchair. And that spirit, that energy, that defiance, that insistence on joy is the energy and the spirit and the defiance we need right now. Because, y'all, we're in a battle of stories. All right, on the one hand, you got a story we're being told that we're powerless, that only the people who are currently abusing power have the right to wield it, that some people are worth more than other people. Boo indeed. But there's another story unfolding. There is a story where citizen is a verb, where democracy is something we do, not just something we have, and where we all live into the truth of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s words that we are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality. We need each other. We have seen all this on display in the great state of Minnesota. Yes, this administration sent its undertrained, overarmed, unconstitutional thugs wearing hokas, and people held it down for each other. We saw that beauty. Parents with whistles looking out for schools. Peaceful people documenting human rights abuses. I saw a crowd of people throwing dildos at ICE. That's my favorite, dildos at ICE. Look, when you cosplay Call of Duty to take on a daycare center, you might need an extra pair. Thank you for that. James Baldwin wrote to Angela Davis saying, "For if they take you in the morning, they will come for me that night." That is the spirit we have seen in LA, in DC, in Portland, in the Twin Cities, and in Chicago, and in so many other places across this country. An old story is dying. Reluctantly and awkwardly, cringing and binge drinking in a locker room in Milan instead of locking up the criminals on the Epstein list. But a new story is being born of mutual aid, of teaching history, even and especially from banned books, of standing for people and planet and recognizing there's no separation between either of those two things. We are here in our 250th year, y'all. The season of hate and domination is over. The season of love and interdependence is upon us. I close with the words of Lauryn Hill in this cold, sometimes dark winter. After winter must come spring. Let's get ready for it together. Thank you very much. Love y'all.
And now, a video message from best-selling author and former presidential candidate Maryanne Williamson.
Well, hi. The president is going to give his State of the Union tonight. He's going to tell us how he sees things and what he thinks should happen now. I think it's a pretty good bet that many of us will not agree with the president, either in his view of what's actually happening in our union, as well as in his view of what agenda should take us forward. Many of us see him and his administration, his words and his actions as detrimental to our democracy, even an active assault upon it. And while he took an oath to the Constitution, we might not have taken an official oath, but we feel it in our hearts. So we're going to stand for our Constitution. We are going to stand for the principles on which we purport to stand. The equality of all people, the right of all people to actualize their own God-given potential without interference by dictators or tyrants. So I hope you'll join us here on Defiance.org. We're going to lay down some truths, certainly as we see it. And I think the momentum by which so many Americans are going forward, seeking to heal this country, will be increased. See you later.
Welcome to the stage for a panel discussion on America at 250. Will we survive? Moderated by the Left Hook publisher, Wajahat Ali. Senator John Tester from Montana. Seneca Project founder Tara Setmeyer. And Justice Matters host Glenn Kushner.
Conspiracy. Hello. How's everyone doing? People, to quote the late, great Bernie Mac, I'm not here for any foolishness. I did not drive all the way from Alexandria in my Honda Odyssey minivan for such a pathetic response. When I ask you how you're doing, I want to hear from a living, breathing audience, people who are committed to defending this thing called democracy and to resist this rapist vulgarian named Donald Trump. How are you doing? What's up? All right. Well, that's all the time we have. Thank you all for coming. Respect to the frogs. Give it up to the frogs. All right. Big question. Will America survive to 250? We're almost there. It's an inshallah.
We're stumbling there, and we have this august panel to discuss this very important question in 15 minutes. All of them are filibusterers. So let's hope that we can, inshallah, have some pithy comments. But we're gonna get to it. First and foremost, Senator Jon Tester. Don't kiss up to him. Don't kiss up to him. Just calm down. All right. From the great state of Montana.
Great crowd. Great crowd.
All right. Now, you believed in bipartisanship. You believed in a good time when Congress could do its job, where elected officials had a duty to the Constitution, where these people need to actually fulfill their oaths and keep people in check. However, the question I have for you, how do we get to 250 when one of the two parties are now reeks to a right-wing authoritarian, where Lindsey Graham and Ted Cruz live in the anus of Donald Trump, and too soon? Or not soon enough? And if I may, many Democrats believe that the Democratic Party, I'm using their words, are spineless, feckless, weak, and cowardly. How do we get to 250 when a Congress is not doing its job?
With groups like this, that's how. Let me tell you what. This country has always been about we the people. And when folks stand up and make sure their voices heard, people change. I believe in bipartisanship. And I think there's one bipartisan thing that Congress needs to do right after the election next year when Democrats take over the House and the Senate, and that's impeach the son of a bitch. What? And guess what? Last time I checked, it has to be done in a bipartisan way. So they ought to get after it and get her done. Let me tell you something. I come from rural America. Rural America voted for Donald Trump, and what this guy's done to rural America is absolutely, unequivocally unacceptable. What he's done to the markets for our farmers, what he's done to our health care system, what he's done to housing, what he's done to man, oh man, more things than I got fingers on my hand to count them. I will tell you, it's insane. And I've got to tell you, the only thing that I know that, by the way, Congress has been asleep at the wheel for 13 months, but the only thing that I know that Congress can do to hold the executive branch accountable is they need to get a hold of some folks, just like they did back in Nixon's time, and say, well, do we have enough votes to impeach this dude? Because they should. And then they walk into the White House and say, guess what? You're going to hit the road, Jack.
I'm going to ask you a quick follow-up. Democrats right now have the lowest favorability rating in 3 decades. I heard you. What would you want Democrats to do in this moment to regain the trust of people so that, inshallah, we can get to 250?
Well, I mean, the truth is they need to start challenging the administration on everything that's out there, and some of them have been. But the bottom line, they need to. And they need to start talking about issues that people will talk about at their kitchen table, because they're not. And they need to. Starting with affordability, starting with making sure that businesses out there got a shot, and working families got a shot, and family farm and ranch agriculture got a shot. They need to talk about the issues that are important in this country. They've forgotten about that.
I would say maybe even tax the billionaires. Just throwing it out there. That's just me. That's me. Tara, give it up for Tara Sedmeyer. Tara, we are limping towards 250. Inshallah, will we get there? How do we get there when it seems like in the past 10 years, every institution has capitulated to Donald Trump? Whether it's corporate law firms, whether it's corporate media, whether it's our titans of industry. In the front row, Tim Apple and others. How do we get there when our institutions are failing us?
Well, if we all remember that this country was founded on we the people, not corporations. So the way that you get there is you hold the bastards accountable, period. You know, we are in an inflection moment in this country where we have to make a decision of whether we're going to stand up or stand by. And there is no time for people to be lukewarm about where they stand. And the more that we are looking at what's happening, and if you feel as though you want America to celebrate its 250th birthday and for this democracy to make it, then it's up to us. Democracy doesn't defend itself. We are responsible for that. So institutions don't defend themselves. We are the ones that make sure those institutions are still standing. So I think it's important for people to understand that we still do have the power. Doesn't matter whether Donald Trump tries to flood the zone and tries to, do things to make us feel as though we are helpless or hopeless and he's going to do what he wants to do. We have to say, not no, but hell no. And it starts with things like this. When we gather, you build community. We do the No Kings protests. You hold Democrats accountable also. You can't have a resistance that's scared to be a resistance, right? So the way that people who are elected officials respond is that they have to be reminded who they work for. Just like Donald Trump and that administration works for us, so do the Democrats. So if you have people that you feel are not standing up and fighting the way you want them to, then you need to say, either you're going to fight and stand up, or we're voting your ass out. We'll find someone who will. That's how we make it. It is up to every one of us. And I think the more that Americans realize that, the more that we will coalesce around beating back this fascist movement and embracing our democracy. Don't let them co-opt that from us. They don't get to own patriotism. They don't get to own what democracy is. They don't get to take our freedoms from us. Only if we let them. And I say no, not no, but hell no.
This crowd seems very, this seems like a very centrist crowd, filled with many milquetoast moderates. No, I kid. For those who believe they can play footsie, I love you too. You have exquisite taste. Tara, for those who want to play footsie with fascism, for those who think you could play prevent defense, for those who think you can still negotiate your way out of this, we were talking backstage, and you appreciated my analogy of smash mouth football. Right. You were a former Republican, and Republicans are known to play a bit dirty. But for those who still think after 10 years, you can kind of wiggle your way through centrism, your response?
Well, listen, I think you have to play the game that you're in. And yes, that's true that Republicans know how to play tougher in the past. Now it's dirtier. But you have to be careful you don't become what you despise. I think that is a very important principle in this fight. Do not become what you despise. It's very easy to get lured into that, but you cannot. But we have the benefit of having the truth on our side. We have the benefit of having the constitutional principles that this country was founded on our side. So we need to weaponize that in the way that our truth is our sword. And so I think that when people see that you cannot, as I often say, as a football fan, New York Giants, yes, big blue wrecking crew, defense may win championships, but offense wins elections.
There you go.
And Democrats need to understand that. It's offense all the time. Put the Republicans on defense, because if they're explaining, they're losing. And last time I checked, it's very difficult to explain away how Donald Trump has betrayed veterans, farmers, the middle class, rural America, and virtually anyone who's not a white Christian male. He's betrayed all of them. And for women who are out there thinking, well, Donald Trump, listen, he's taken rights from us. These people do not care. They want to make all of us subservient to their agenda. So you cannot negotiate with fascism. You cannot. There is no lukewarm defending democracy. And the sooner that Democrats get that and go on offense, the sooner we can not only win, but vanquish MAGA to the ash heap of history where they belong.
Fascists come for everyone at the end, even fellow fascists. Give it up for Glenn Kirshner, everyone. Give it up for Glenn Kirshner's muscles. Glenn secretly is very happy that I noticed that. Glenn, I think one of the enduring sins of the Biden administration, he did many good things, he did some terrible things, Gaza being one of them, the Gaza policy. The other one, Merrick Garland. How do we avoid the Merrick Garlanding on our path towards accountability? Because we won't make it unless there is a reckoning, sir.
So with accountability, all things are possible. Without accountability, we get right where we are right now in the midst of this Donald Trump-induced darkness. But do you know, and I want to talk about accountability, do you know we the people won a significant victory today? Did you see the reporting? Anybody know what I'm talking about? Trump flunky Jeanine Pirro, who is, God help us, the U.S. attorney at my beloved home for decades, the D.C. U.S. Attorney's Office. See, I get Justice goosebumps. I got to stand up. Today, she said, you know what? I think I'm going to stop trying to prosecute the innocent. I think I'm no longer going to try to indict 6 members of Congress who committed no crime. All they did, take it from this old Army jag, is they opened the Uniform Code of Military Justice and they read military law, that military members must disobey unlawful orders. You know, there's a difference between failure and defeat. Failure is Donald Trump's health. Failure is Donald Trump's mental faculties. Donald Trump is failing, but we are defeating Donald Trump's dirty DOJ leadership. And when I say we, you know why Jeanine Pirro today said, okay, maybe I'm going to stop trying to prosecute the innocent? Because grand juries sitting as the conscience of the community sat in those. We have 8 grand juries right up the block. Those are my people. I spent years in those rooms. Can I stand up? And
now you're rolling. Now you're rolling.
And those regular folks, just like us, went into that room behind closed doors, and they told Jeanine Pirro, we will not endure or endorse your lawlessness. Get the hell out. Get out. You know that's we the people defeating Donald Trump and his DOJ and Pam Bondi and Todd Blanche and Jeanine Pirro. And how many times at the grand juror said no and no and no and no and no. And then Jeanine Pirro said, okay, well, I won't bring a felony charge. I'll bring a misdemeanor charge, which she can do with just the sign of a pen. And then trial juries told her, hell no, not guilty. Go away. That is we the people. That's we the people doing that. And when it comes to accountability, listen, we don't need any more putting long national nightmares behind us with no accountability. We tried it in '74. We tried it again after Donald Trump launched an attack on the Capitol to try to steal a presidential election. No more Merrick Garlands. We need a DOJ full of Jack Smiths. We need a DOJ full of Jack Smiths. And friends, win, lose, or draw, we need to investigate every crime that's being perpetrated by Trump and his cabinet and his flunkies against the American people right
Epstein
now.
files.
We need to hold them accountable, because without accountability, guess what? We don't get to keep our republic anymore.
All right, here we go. This is what we're going to do. With the 45 seconds that we have left, we're all going to stand up. All right, here we go. On the count of 3, we're going to yell defy. And then we're going to yell love. All right? Because I don't want to just be angry. I want to say defy, and I want to say love America. How about that? Love America. You guys like that? All right. 1, 2, 3. Defy. 1, 2, 3. Love America. Thank you, everyone. Folks.
How about
there's only
Walsh?
one thing.
Walsh.
Yeah, go ahead.
We defy because we love America.
Oh, all right, let's do it. On the count of 3. On the count of 3. We defy because we love America. Here we go. It's editing in real time. 1, 2, 3. We defy because we love America. Thank you, everyone.
The voice of God approves of that message. Next up, a message from Virginia Congressman Representative Eugene Vindman.
Tonight, Donald Trump will take the stage and deliver a speech defined by the 3 C's of his administration: chaos, cruelty, and corruption. You won't hear a real solution to another C, costs. You won't hear a serious plan to lower costs for working families. You won't hear anything that reflects what Americans feel in their daily lives. You'll hear what you always hear from Donald Trump: lies, insults, and deflections. Here's the truth: abandoning working families, cozying up to authoritarians, betraying our allies like Ukraine, which today marks the 4th anniversary of Russia's heinous invasion, and undermining our freedoms at home doesn't make America stronger. It makes us weaker. I came to this country as a refugee. I served 25 years in the United States Army, defending American freedom and the Constitution. I spoke out when Donald Trump abused his power for personal gain. I've seen what happens when leaders like him go unchecked. We cannot let that happen here. We must turn out in droves for this year's elections and hold Trump and Republicans accountable. America is worth fighting for.
All right. If you are in this room, stand up and stretch your legs. Come on. Come on, get up. If you're out there in America, stand up and stretch your legs. I know you've been sitting there on that couch. Come on. Get up. Come on, stretch those legs. And when I say stand up, you say, let's try that again. Stand up. Stand up. One more time. Stand up. That's right. We're going into another round of Defiant Voices. I am thrilled to welcome to the stage a friend, a very courageous man, Massachusetts Congressman Seth Moulton.
Thank you. Good evening. Now, just a few miles from here, in a speech that sounds like a drunk phone call from your uncle, Donald Trump will rant about his dismal vision for America. So let's make tonight about our vision, not his. A vision rooted in something stronger than a laundry list of grievances from the 5th grade. A vision for America. Too often we get bogged down in how bad things are, that we don't envision a future that's so bright it's actually normal. Like, imagine walking into every hospital in America confident you'll get the best health care in the world and you'll be able to afford it. That's called investing in health care instead of wars. Imagine waking up as an immigrant excited to check in with immigration authorities to tell them all the great things you're doing for our country because you're on a pathway to citizenship. That's called having immigration agents who follow the law rather than terrorize blue cities. Imagine getting on an American train that's the fastest train in the world, never delayed by weather, and so reliable that you get a refund if it's 5 minutes late. That's called investing in infrastructure instead of ICE. Imagine being able to go to the grocery store and afford your groceries because we don't have tariffs on bananas and coffee, because that's bananas and covfefe. Imagine being a single parent working 2 jobs to make ends meet, but so proud to know that the same rules apply to you as to billionaire CEOs. That's called a country where the working class is celebrated and pedophiles go to prison. And imagine waking up in an America where you disagree with your president, but you're proud of her because she's a great American. That's called electing Democrats and not MAGA Republicans. And imagine just going into the voting booth of the midterms knowing that your vote will get counted. That's called living in our America, not Donald Trump's MAGA America. And even imagine being proud to watch the State of the Union with your kids. Hard to imagine today. That's what's so crazy, is that these things are hard to imagine today, and yet they're totally normal. And honestly, I believe most Americans, the vast majority of Americans, even many Republicans, want that America and want it today. And realizing that vision is called leadership. So let's fight like hell, Democrats, Americans, and let's lead. Because when Democrats lead, we win. And it's time we win for America. Go USA!
Please welcome to the stage former Montana governor, presidential candidate, and owner of a tap house in Montana, Governor Steve Bullock!
Thanks so much, Miles. It's so great to be here with such distinguished speakers and all of you. Look, I was elected Attorney General, then governor of Montana for 8 years, making me have a view from both a red state and its state house. Like John Tester, we live in a rural state, a state with consistently high turnout, where people can still actually register to vote on Election Day, and a place that could reelect me as governor by 4 points when Trump won his first time by 20. You know, I love those introductions mentioning my victories. What they don't mention is after that, I ran for Senate, and I lost. For that, I ran for president, and I lost. You probably don't have to Google to know that. Losing sucks. Though I can joke about it because I'd like to believe I'm a normal human being. It happens. When stepping into the arena, the prospect of actually losing weighs on every sane candidate's mind. My career has been shaped by the law, practicing it, defending it, implementing it. I'm such a geek that when I was Attorney General, I had to argue cases, and my staff called me the Attorney Specific. As governor, working within those confines of the separation of powers, I took pleasure in smacking down bad law and working with the legislature to shape our common values into law was one of my great highlights. Though now I got to tell you, my confidence in the rule of law is shaken. It's not gone, but it's shaken. At its core, the acid test of democracy is honoring the will of the voters when you or your party lose. That small man who currently occupies our highest office, he doesn't get that. When he loses, he whines. Worse, and unlike the American experience over the last 237 years, he's doing everything he can to undermine our electoral democracy. For you hunters like me, let me tell you in a way that you might understand. Donald Trump has put his crosshairs on the heart of our democracy, your sacred right to vote and have that vote matter. Don't boo, organize. And look, you might think I'm overstating it. Earlier this month, Trump said we should take over the voting in at least 15 places. The Republicans ought to nationalize the voting. Last month, he tells Reuters, because his administration is doing such great work, when you think about it, we shouldn't even have an election, he said. Don't boo, organize. He said last month he regretted not putting in the National Guard to swing states after his loss in the 2020 election. Remember, the states are merely an agent for the federal government in counting and tabulating votes, he said last fall. Organize. They must do what the federal government, as represented by the President of the United States, tells them to do, he said. Look, even if you don't want to believe that he's saying the quiet part out loud, this is more than his routine, unhinged, wacky comments. Look at what's happening and look at who's doing it. Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, Tulsi Gabbard, Kristi Noem, all deny the results of the 2020 election and all are undermining the integrity of our upcoming election. Pam Bondi's DOJ sues 24 states demanding voter rolls. She wants the DOJ to have your Social Security number, your driver's license information. After the murder of Alex Preddy, Bondi wrote to Minnesota Governor Tim Walz stating that if he wished to bring an end to the chaos in Minnesota, a common sense solution would include providing DOJ access to voter rolls. Don't boo, organize. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, she wants a piece of this pie. She recently said when it gets to election day that we've been proactive to make sure that we have the right people voting, electing the right people to lead this country through the days that we have. Look, more than just words and deeds, the president has tried to decertify all voting machines, override state laws around mail balloting, and gut funding to end the mission for CISA, that federal agency that actually said the 2020 election was the most secure in American history. What this adds up to is we have a president and administration actively trying to manipulate the 2026 election. We have a president who's toying around with the Insurrection Act, who sends the FBI to raid election offices, and sends DNI Director Tulsi Gabbard there as well, by the way. Her job has nothing to do with law enforcement or running elections. We have a president who's not just repeating his crazy conspiracy theories about the 2020 election, he's actually threatening to prosecute state officials who do their job and count their votes accurately. These are very real threats to our nation. You know, sometimes when we talk about what's happening in the country, we use lofty language like liberty, tyranny, and the Constitution. And look, Donald Trump's violating the Constitution just about every damn day. We can't allow that to become the norm. But if we don't protect our elections, the rest of it may not matter. Elections are about who we are and what we want and how we actually keep the government in check. Elections day is that one day when each and every one of us are more powerful than any corporation, any special interest, any politician, because our vote is our voice, and our voices matter. I'm not sure they've ever mattered more. And it's important to remember that elections are run by state and local officials, not the federal government. That decentralized system is how we know that elections are free and fair. It's a security feature. It's not a bug. We have those elections because we can count on hardworking local folks in every state that are committed to that process, a process that protects each and every vote. If we lose that process, folks, we've lost everything. The president does not respect that process because he does not respect the will of the voters. He's willing to use the full force of the federal government to reject any election he doesn't like. He told us so, and it's starting to happen already. We have to see the whole picture. Raiding election offices, prosecuting election officials, federal or even military takeover of election systems. These are all ways to take away our voice. And if we don't fight for our elections, we'll have nothing left to fight for. I believe this is the time to ask ourselves, when am I willing to say enough is enough? What is my red line? Is it when the economy is looted by political corruption? When the government goes after a free and fair press? Is it when federal agents shoot Americans in the street? Don't boo, organize. Is it when the President of the United States is actually willing to undermine these free and fair elections to protect his own power? This is not a time to hope for the best. This is time for each of us to ask, what am I willing to do? Am I willing to write my first check to a nonprofit, to support independent media? Am I prepared to go to my first protest? What about volunteering and working at a polling station? Will I speak up? And you know what we see? Not only you, I see Americans all over the country doing these things and making a difference. When the president said we should nationalize elections, patriotic Republicans joined Democrats and said, no, that's not who we are. When masked agents terrorized the people of Minnesota, peaceful protesters said, no, that's not who we are. The Justice Department is trying to prosecute the president's political opponents just for payback. Independent judges and everyday citizens in grand jury rooms keep saying, no, that's not who we are. I see proof every day that Americans are finding their voices. And when we find our collective voices, great things happen. Look, politicians always say, this is the most important election in our lifetime. Maybe. Only history will actually judge whether this is the most important election of our lives. But I'll be damned if it's the last one that we have. Our democracy and our elections are worth fighting for because they're the only way that we can fight for everything else. At the Constitutional Convention, Benjamin Franklin was asked by a woman what form of government our new country would have. He told her, a republic, madam, if you can keep it. The pathetic, whiny loser who knocked down our East Wing thinks he can take down our democracy. He is wrong. We will fight, and we will keep it. The state of our union is stronger than he thinks. It's more determined than he can imagine, and tougher than he'll ever be. Go out and organize, and thank you for being here tonight.
And now, a video message from former Georgia House Minority Leader, pro-democracy champion, best-selling author, and yes, writer of sexy books, Stacey Abrams!
Hello, everyone. First, I'd like to thank the team at Defiance.org for putting together this terrific event and giving us a more hopeful alternative to the Trump regime's dark vision for our country. Across this nation, we're witnessing coordinated attacks on our elections, voter purges, intimidation, sham investigations, and laws designed to make participation harder. We must be clear about why this is happening. It's about control. History shows us that authoritarianism doesn't arrive overnight. It takes hold slowly when trust is deliberately eroded and when people are treated as obstacles to be overcome rather than the source of true power. And that's the moment we're in. This year will be a test of whether democracy still belongs to the people. And that's why turnout has to be decisive and overwhelming. Because when people show up and engage, authoritarians start to lose their grip on power. So I invite all of you watching to go to 10stepscampaign.org and sign up to stay engaged and informed on ways to reclaim and restore our democracy. Democracy is a shared responsibility. It's protected by engaging our communities, mobilizing our neighbors, and electing leaders that represent us. The future is still ours to shape if we decide to take action together.
Give it up for Stacey Abrams! All right, I know you've been doing a lot of clapping and a lot of cheering, but we need to know that you've got the endurance for a long fight, because it's going to be more than a long night. It's going to be a long fight. So when I say stand up, you say stand up. All right, we're going to hear from more defiant voices about protecting our democracy. I am thrilled to welcome to the stage from New York, Democratic Congressman, former federal prosecutor Dan Goldman.
Hello, my frogs. It is great to be with you tonight. It's definitely great to be with you and not in the Capitol. In a few minutes, Donald Trump is going to take part in a storied tradition, delivering the State of the Union, his first of this second term. Now, we don't really need to see it because we know what it will be. Hours of nonsensical, incoherent, rambling lies, starting right at the beginning, because the state of our union is not strong. It is hanging by a thread. So, instead of forcing you to listen to 3 hours of lies, gaslighting, and narcissism, I'm going to give you the true State of the Union in 3 minutes. Under Donald Trump's failed leadership, hardworking Americans are being left behind in an unaffordable economy, destructive tariffs, soaring costs, health care, food benefits being yanked away, all while Donald Trump uses his office to extort foreign governments take money from pardon seekers, line his own pockets, and make sure that his billionaire buddies are getting record profits and tax cuts. Under Donald Trump's failed leadership, an out-of-control, unqualified, unvetted, untrained, secret ICE paramilitary force is terrorizing our cities across the land, demanding citizenship papers, illegally searching homes and cars, and beating and killing Americans, all with no accountability. And under his failed leadership, the rule of law is under attack. He's using the DOJ to prosecute his political enemies, the most basic no-no in any democracy. He's defying court orders, even slandering his own Supreme Court justices. And most importantly, and pay attention to this, he is blatantly covering up his own misconduct by refusing to follow the law and release all of the Epstein files. Release the files. But perhaps most dangerous of all is that under Donald Trump's failed leadership, our free and fair elections are in serious jeopardy. First, he tried to rig these upcoming elections through partisan gerrymandering. When that didn't work, he sent his lawless, masked, militarized immigration agents to Minneapolis with the intention of inciting violence so he can invoke the Insurrection Act, try to post ICE officers at poll sites, and worse yet, maybe, even cancel the election. Now, that may sound crazy to you, but you don't need to take my word for it. Because in the very same day, a few weeks ago, Donald Trump said that he might have to invoke the Insurrection Act in the morning, and then in the afternoon he said there shouldn't be elections. We know that his brain is slow enough that it takes from morning to afternoon for him to say what he's actually thinking, but he always says what he's thinking. But that's not it. So Attorney General Pam Bondi demanded that Governor Tim Walz from Minnesota listen to this, turn over Minnesota's voter rolls. Why? In return for withdrawing ICE officers. ICE is in the Department of Homeland Security, not the Department of Justice. Why is the Department of Justice demanding voter rolls? At the same time, you have the Department of Justice lying to a judge to get a search warrant for the 2020 ballots from Fulton County. And who was there? Tulsi Gabbard, the Director of National Intelligence. The Director of National Intelligence has nothing to do with law enforcement or any reason for a search warrant. So what is this? The Three Musketeers? Bondi, Kristi Noem, and Tulsi Gabbard? The Three Stooges is right. Now, the only reason you would want ballots and voter rolls is to purge them. There is no other reason for the federal government to have it. And so now you have all of these efforts by the administration, and of course, the Republicans in Congress know that they're about to lose their majority, and so they're working overtime to help Donald Trump do that. Now, let's briefly talk about voter fraud. I can talk about it briefly because it doesn't exist. So the SAVE Act does not matter. They are trying to take away everything that we stand for with our elections. So it's going to take all of us to organize, energize, activate, advocate, and fight for our democracy. So it's time for us to stand up. It's time for us to stand up. Are you with me?
Are you with me? Then let's get to work.
We heard that Robbie Road Steamer is in the building with a special message.
Folks, I'm fresh out of an ICE prison in Minneapolis. I've been arrested 3 times by ICE over absurdity, over us being ourselves, over me singing songs like, "Hey, Mr. Tangerine Man, get rid of brown people from me. I'm Aryan white. There ain't no place I'm going to." And then all of a sudden, these not ready for primetime player ICE agents with 2 weeks of training come after me. I got arrested in Portland. I got arrested in Minneapolis in the last 3 weeks twice. But they can't erase a movement, all right? What I went through is 1/1000th of a lot of marginalized people and what they have to go through in those ICE detention centers. And I want to tell you something right now. There's an announcement. Pumpkin Spice Satan is making his way to the State of the Union. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to rev up the show right now. We're giving out prizes. We're going to have bingo. We're going to storm the White House with love and compassion. And at the end of the night, we're going to storm Applebee's. All right? We don't have to be angry. We don't have to be violent. We just need to create the new Grateful Dead parking lot. All right? Hell yeah. All right, I'm going to hand the mic over. I'll see you guys later. We're going to live forever.
Robbie Road Steamer. Please welcome to the stage Senator from Oregon, Ron Wyden, and the Portland Frogs.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, friends, and especially our four-legged heroes from my hometown, the pride of Portland, Oregon. I'm so glad to have a chance to be with you for a few minutes, and especially I want to thank all the Oregon Frogs from my neighborhood who hopped across the country to be with you. This year has tested democracy. When Donald Trump is in charge, it means the billionaires are in charge. The Epstein class is in charge. They sure as hell aren't looking out for anybody here. But I want to tell you, I'm getting to the follow the money. Momentarily. But I want to say, as the point person for the Senate Democrats, we are going to pass a billionaire income tax. And make no mistake about it, we are going to finish my 4-year investigation into following the money, and we're going to pass legislation so it never happens again. We got a lot to do. I mentioned fixing the tax code. We got to fix health care. It's really sick care. Totally sick. Donald Trump wants to take control of our elections. I'm the first United States senator elected by mail, and I'm going to tell you something. I'm not going to be the last. Donald Trump's going to huff and puff a lot tonight. We'll hear a lot about that. But I held a meeting with one of our heroes today, Jeff Merkley, one of the great champions. We had a virtual town hall meeting a little bit ago. But we talked about the frogs. And boy, they are rocking this town. Let's give them a round of applause. So the day we heard Trump was deploying troops to Portland, we rushed over to the ICE facility because based on Trump's Truth Social, we expected to just see a violent mob. But apparently one guy in a chicken costume is what Trump considers a war zone. For weeks, social media was flooded with these wonderful patriots. Videos of unicyclers, naked bike riders, the guy in the chicken suit, and a whole lot of frogs. No war zone to be found, friends. When Donald Trump sent his agents to the street of Portland, we took on authoritarianism because we had the frogs and we won. The grassroots of my state knows how to do it back in the days when I had a full head of hair and rugged good looks. I was director of the Gray Panthers, and we were praying to have people like the frogs. Let's give them another round of applause. So I'm going to close with this. I'm barely a household word in my own household. But I'll tell you, I'm with the frogs, and I'm with all of you, because political change starts at the grassroots. In this election, we're going to win, and we're going to start turning this country around and throwing Trump out. God bless. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you. The frogs, come on. More for the frogs, more for the frogs. Good job, guys. Good job. Good.
Give it up for Ron Wyden! A household name now. Please welcome to the stage former Republican Congressman, a man made of fire, and now a Democrat, Joe Walsh! Come on now, come on now, come on now! Let's go, let's go! Sit down, I've only got 3 minutes, sit down! Let's get right to it. We have a job. You're an American citizen. Believe this in your bones. We got a mission right now. Our duty right now as citizens of this country is to meet this fucking moment. That's our job. No time to beat around the bush. We have to meet this moment. We cannot normalize who he is. We cannot normalize what he's doing to this country we love. We have to call him out for what he is. We cannot normalize him. What he's going to do for the next 4 fucking hours is not normal. It's not right. It's not American. Oh, we got to meet the moment, and that takes courage. That means all of us have to have the courage to call this out for what it is. He is a fascist. Man, if you believe it like I believe it, it does no good not to say it. He's a fascist. He's a pathological liar. He's a damn psychopath. He's utterly lawless. He's openly corrupt. And you know what? Damn it, he's a cruel bastard. Look, it takes, hold on a minute. I gotta be, you know me, I gotta be careful with my language. He's most likely a pedophile. Look, this moment calls upon all of us to be courageous. We ain't never been here. We've never had this. You got to feel that in your bones. And then for the next 9, 10 months, we have to speak that publicly. One final thought. He committed crimes trying to overthrow an American election. Don't you for a moment believe he's not going to fuck with and mess with the midterms. Don't you for one moment think he's going to accept the results of the midterms. Don't you for one moment think he's not going to try to cancel the midterms. And our duty, our job is to blow him out of the water, come out in numbers like we ain't never seen. And I want to close with this. And by the way, this is my fear. And it should scare the hell out of all of us because, damn it, he's going to try to screw with another one of our elections. Fuck him. Fuck him. No, I mean it. And I want everybody, as I close, I want everybody, and I apologize for my language, but I want everybody to repeat after me. Can I say it first? Careful, we've got cameras. I want you to repeat after me as loud as you can. I apologize, but you know what? I don't apologize. This is an unprecedented moment. So, repeat after me. Not yet. Fuck Trump. The midterms are happening. Ready? Big and loud and proud. 1, 2, 3. Fuck Trump. The midterms are happening.
Give it up for Joe Walsh. Please welcome to the stage defiant voices talking about standing up to cruelty. Moderator Kurt Bardella from the Watchdog Report. Representative CEO Maria McFarland Sanchez Moreno. Best-selling author and Yale professor Dr. Philip Atiba Solomon and Merimoto founder Jess Morales Roquetto.
Oh, thank you very much. Wow, was that defiant or what? Okay, we're going to have a different conversation now. This conversation is one of the most important discussions that is happening in this country right now. In the face of the cruelty that we've seen subjected to us by ICE, U.S. citizens being murdered for exercising their First Amendment rights. Think about that. In America, 2026, people who are doing their civic duty to tell truth to power, to lawfully record law enforcement exercising their abuse of force, and they're getting murdered for it. For all the talk about illegal immigrants and crime, the only people losing their lives in this equation are American citizens right now. I am so proud to have these three voices, these important voices here, to talk about being defiant to this cruelty. And I want to ask each of you right now, just to start off, what does that look like? What does that mean to you when you hear that prompt? Ladies first.
Yeah, I think, at Marimoto, we build power and influence for Latinos in the U.S., and that's one of the hardest communities to be building power and influence for right now. Our community is under attack, and everything that we do every single day is to fight back against those attacks. Not only to stop deportations, the most important thing that we can be doing, but also to remind people that we are not only our struggle. We are small business owners who are trying to keep the lights on. We are families who are trying to take our kids to school without getting deported. We're teachers who are teaching your children and putting ourselves at risk so that your children can get a great education. And we are people who've been here for a really, really, really long time, even if we didn't have papers, making sure that this country is better off than when we came here and when we found it. And we're very, very proud of that. So every single day, we're fighting to make this country the one that we came here for.
So, look, I worked for many years internationally on human rights cases, on mass atrocities, really horrific situations where people were in real danger if they took any action to stand up to the people who were committing crimes. And the reaction that I saw in so many of those places was denial, fear, ignore what's happening. What I saw in the streets of Minneapolis in the last month is the opposite of that. It is courage. It's defiance, but it's deeper than that. It's a commitment to what's right, to humanity, to caring for each other. And I think that this country has hit a bit of a turning point with those killings, those executions, because that is the correct word for them. And we are seeing a lot of people now who are starting to grapple with the fact that this is a brutal regime like you have seen in other countries, and that if this goes unchecked, this could turn into something truly atrocious on a large scale. And so the fact that people are standing up, the fact that all of you are here today, but that so many other people are sacrificing, right, are taking time from their busy days to go and help take care of each other is incredibly inspiring.
Dr. Philip Solomon.
So when it comes to Defiance, the first credential that I come up with is, for me at least, is I've been black my whole life. Like a week I tried to take off in college, but other than that, just straight through. And what that means is that if I tried to lie about who I was or where I've been, someone would try and correct me. Because it means I've grown up in a world, in a country that is allergic to the truth about me and is thirsty for lies, right? That means as a professor, which is my day job, I get to be a truth teller. And a truth teller about how we ended up here is a radical thing in a moment of lies, right? So I want to be really clear. We have a fascist aspiring regime in the White House, right, that is far more eager to lock up 5-year-olds than the people who want to have sex with 5-year-olds. And let's just be real about it. That's just the reality of it. That is weaponizing law enforcement in a way that even our law enforcement couldn't find a way to manage. That is taking the facts of our $135 billion annual budget for municipal and state law enforcement and just gave $175 billion to ICE, right? To federalize the worst things that we ever do in vulnerable communities, not for public safety, because, again, truth-telling. We are in a year when we're just past a year in 2025, when we saw an historic reduction in violence. So it was never about safety, right? We've also seen an historic increase in state-sponsored terrorism towards vulnerable communities. And the retreat from Minneapolis, which was hard fought and hard won, and I'm looking forward to celebrating even more the men and women and binary folks, non-binary folks who are on the streets making that happen, right? The retreat in Minneapolis is a strategic retreat because the point was always normalizing state occupation that was centralized and federalized and using it against the elections. And if you think that I am trying to catastrophize, first of all, I'm a quantitative scientist. My job is not to do that, right? My job is to stay rooted in the data. And if you have any doubts, they wrote it down. Not in Project 2025, but in the President's Task Force on Policing in 2020, that was so illegal they couldn't put out a report, but the draft recommendations were leaked.
Well, we got Steve Bannon out there saying the quiet part out loud. He's saying right. They're going to use ICE as some sort of election integrity operation come Election Day. Their design is absolutely right. They're trying to normalize policing in America using the military in civilian areas to try to intimidate and suppress the upcoming vote, because they know that when the playing field is level, there's way more of us than there is of them.
And that whole thing about getting like proof of citizenship, that's a trick, right? They're asking people, states, to check DHS databases to see who is a citizen. Do you think those databases are going to be accurate? They're already being shown to be wrong. How many people are going to end up in those false positives and not be able to vote because of this?
I think really importantly too, This fight is live right now in Washington, D.C. in Congress. They are trying to get even more money for ICE after ICE has become the best funded paramilitary force on the planet.
More money than the U.S. Marine Corps in their budget.
And they're using our health care subsidies that we used to get, that they took away, to fund ICE, to fund this violence. They care more about killing us than they do about our health.
Dr. Sullivan, I want to ask you something, because you have the opportunity to interact with the next generation. You get to talk with kids who are in college right now and who are seeing the world through a very, very different lens than a lot of us do. What are you hearing and seeing from these kids as all of this is unfolding?
Yeah, I do have to say that talking to college students every day, it'll make your head hurt in the best possible way. Because they are, for them, many of them, Obama is a distant memory, right? The atrocities of the election of 2000 and what happened in a Florida court, right? That's ancient history.
You don't know there was already a coup in this country back in 2000.
Exactly. And so what's happened is the normalization of the things that we're trying to resist, right? They understand they don't want to go back. And that's the thing that I want to give to this room that I take from my students. I'm hearing a lot of people say, I can't wait to get back to normal. I can't wait to take away this regime and get back to where we were before. And I got a group of students that have no interest in going back. Because at no time in their history were we doing it right on race, on gender, on sexual orientation, on any of this, much less on immigration, right? So if we can have the courage to do something different than what even the founding fathers envisioned. I know we love to think about the nationalism of our collective mythologies of where we came from, but different than what we've ever had before, we can imagine a world where instead of spending on federal law enforcement and Department of Homeland Security, which didn't exist before 2001, right? Instead of spending on that, we would have enough money to make sure we prevent people being unhoused rather than punishing them and locking them up for showing up there at the end of the down cycle of the economy. They're imagining a better world, and we can do that with them.
At Represent Us, which is one of the most important community organizing, getting involved in elections, holding Congress accountable, holding politicians accountable, what are you seeing the level of engagement? Like, there was a moment in 2025 where Democrats went underground, where everyone in Washington gave up, the organized Democratic Party, not all of you. But there was that feeling of helplessness, of we're fucked. Just being blunt. Now, and after what Joe Walsh said, I can feel like, okay to say that word now. Where we are now with what we've seen, I feel like there's been this explosion of activism because events like this are happening right now. What are you seeing at the grassroots level as we prepare for the midterms?
Yeah, what I'm seeing is real interest in building back civic power. Right? I don't think people are like, oh, we love the Democrats, and it's clearly not, right? This is about the people asserting themselves. And, you know, our system has been pretty messed up for a while, and we've been saying that at Represent Us, like between money and politics and gerrymandering, and we've been trying to work on reforms at the state level. But bottom line, what we need is ordinary Americans to go back and say, I don't care how much money rich people poured into the election. I'm going to vote and get the right information and then push my member of Congress to do the right thing. And that needs to turn into a force. That needs to be the starting place of rebuilding, or not rebuilding, but building a new system that is truly accountable to the people and that breaks with some of these captured systems that we have right now that led to the Epstein file situation, frankly.
Yep. In our final 2 minutes here, you know, part of this conversation is about standing with immigrants. The uproar that we saw in Minnesota, it shouldn't take a U.S. citizen being killed for us to get to that level of anger, of activism, of saying enough is enough. These immigrants, to me, they're more American at times than American citizens are, frankly, for what they have sacrificed and given to our country. And with what you do day in and day out, I want you to touch on that before we wrap up.
Yeah, actually I want to give you a name. It's my grandfather. His name is Jesus Morales. He was deported under something called Operation Wetback. Has anyone ever heard of that? It was a government-enforced program run by the government to deport Mexicans. Who were Mexicans? Everybody that was Latino, anybody brown, because they were taking away jobs from real Americans at a time when the economy was bad. He was born here, but spent most of his life in Ciudad Juarez, where my family is from, originally in Mexico. But he lived in El Paso, Texas for the first 4 years of his life, where my family is from. So when I fight back against this every single day, it's because I know exactly what the effects of family separation are. I know what happens when the government starts deciding who's allowed to be here and who's not, who's American and who's not. And I know what happens when we make it seem like that's okay. Over 100,000 families were separated, 250,000 people were deported. And some of those people never came back to the United States. These are, my grandfather is a lawful United States citizen who spent most of his life living as an exile in Mexico because he was deported. This is what we are fighting against. And in one generation, his granddaughter went to college and started an organization to try to make life better for our families. And I fear that at the end of this 4 years, if my grandfather was here, he would say this is just like before. The only way that it will not be like before is if we keep at it. And it's going to be hard because we've got 3 more years of this. If we can have a free and fair election, which is a little bit unclear at this moment, and that means we're going to have to keep getting up, keep being excited, and keep wanting to fight back in new and different and more ways. One last thing I want to say. You seem like the type of room who might be calling Congress, so thank you for that. I was recently talking to a staffer in a senator's office who said these words. This is a real life story. He said, we had more calls last week on immigration than we did this week, and so I think maybe people don't care as much anymore. It's a real story. It's a real true story, United States Senator. He got a lot of calls the week Alex Preddy died, and then the next week, right ahead of the government shutdown, they just didn't get the same amount of calls. So people's opinions must have changed, right? So whenever you're wondering, like, is this making a difference? I'm telling you right now, I'm talking to staffers who are telling me we got 35 calls yesterday, we only got 25 calls today. It must not be that important. My boss is going to vote to fund ICE. Exactly. So I need you, my grandfather needs you, and millions of families around this country need you to fight back every single day. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you very much. And listen, if we don't call out hate everywhere, we can't call it out anywhere. If they come for one of us, they will come for all of us. This is all of our fight.
Kurt Bardella, Maria McFarland Sanchez Moreno, Philip Atiba Solomon, and Jess Morales Raqueto. And now, a message from New York Times best-selling author, former prosecutor, and publisher of Civil Discourse, Joyce Vance.
I am not going to sugarcoat it. The state of our union, not strong, not good. But we can change that, and I hope that you'll join me in not giving up. You know, the question isn't, what is the state of our union today? The question is, what are we prepared to do about it? Because we all know. We all saw Renee Good and Alex Preddy shot dead by federal agents in the streets of Minneapolis. We all know that this administration tried to indict 6 members of Congress for having the temerity to accurately state that the law requires members of the military to disregard an illegal order. Now it's up to all of us. The question really is, what could the state of our union be? So let's treat these upcoming elections like what they are, an all hands on deck sort of exercise, and let's get to work. This administration is going to try and make it hard for us to vote. And that means we need to all double down and make sure we do everything that we can so that we can vote, our friends and neighbors can vote, and next year at this time, we'll be able to say, the state of our union is getting stronger.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you something. Donald J. Trump is spewing lies in the House chamber now. And so in a moment, we're going to give you the opportunity to do the perfect thing, which I think the message you all here could send, and people across America, is take a bathroom break and drain the swamp, all right? So we're going to give you a chance to do that, seriously. As he's starting to speak, we're going to give you a chance to go to the bathroom. I genuinely think that's the most appropriate thing to do in this moment. But before we do that, I want to welcome back up to the stage, because once you get back from your bathroom break, there's going to be an opportunity to do something for a little bit of the State of the Union. And here to tell you more about that is the most famous protester in America, once again, Robbie Roadsteamer. Robbie, what can the audience here and at home expect during the State of the Union?
Giving out literally T-shirts, prizes, baseball cards, autographed memorabilia. It's going to be crazy, and that's what we're bringing to the table. When Pumpkin Spice Satan starts muttering bullshit,
we're not giving away baseball cards.
It's going to be the Grateful Dead parking lot in here. It's about having fun again.
We don't have any of those things to give away.
We don't have autographed game-used jerseys from the Frogs on baseball cards.
We literally don't have that. We're going to give away Robbie Roadsteamer's sweaty costume at the end of this. We're going to auction it off. Fine, Robbie, then I'm going to tell the people where they can go. Whether
the bathroom, all at once.
That too. Whether you're sitting here or at home, you can get on your phone and go to defiancebingo.com. And during the State of the Union address, if you want to see if Donald Trump says the absurd things you're going to find on that bingo card, you know he will. And if you do end up getting bingo, we want you to stand up and shout out bingo. And yes, you will win free swag. There's no baseball cards. There's no signed baseball cards. But we will give you a code to buy free swag off of Defiance.org. That's an opportunity.
Oh, that's the same thing. Come on! And then either way, even if you don't win anything, afterwards, we're storming Applebee's. We're going down to the Black Lives Matter Plaza, and we're singing, Trump was on the Jeffrey Epstein plane. Trump was on the Jeffrey Epstein plane, hey.
This segment was not sponsored by Applebee's. Go to DefianceBingo.com. Take a look here or at home. Right now, the State of the Union is starting. We are taking a bathroom break here at State of the Swamp. We'll be back with you in a little bit.
That's the first time I've ever seen them get up. And actually, not all of them did get up. But they beat a fantastic Canadian team in overtime, as everybody saw, as did the American women who will soon be coming to the White House. They were in the Oval Office before, and I just want to say a second very big congratulations to Team USA. But I have to say that, and I told them this, and we took a vote of the team. I said, anybody votes no, I'm not doing it. So they stood there, and they weren't about to say no, because I've never seen a goaltender play as well as goalie Connor Hellebuyck. Think of it, 46 shots on goal, and I asked him, the one shot, the one where you put your stick in the back and it hit the neck of your stick and bounced off, do you practice that, or was that a little lucky? He refused to answer that question. But I just want to tell you that the members of this great hockey squad will be very happy to hear, based on their vote and my vote, and in this case my vote was more important, that I will soon be presenting Connor with our highest civilian honor, which we will be given and which has been given to many athletes over the years. But when I say many, not too many, like 12, it's called the highest civilian honor in our country, the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Great athletes have gotten that, very great, the best, and I thought he deserved it. And I did take a vote, every single one of them. I said, I'm not giving it if anybody goes no, and every single one of them rapidly put up their hand. So I want to thank you all. What a special job you did. What special champions you are. Thank you very much. I'm also pleased to say that the next time the Olympic torch is lit, it will be here in America for the 2028 Olympics, and it's the summer version right in Los Angeles. We're going to do a good job in Los Angeles. And Los Angeles is going to be safe, just like Washington, D.C. is now one of the safest cities in the country. And this year, and I must say I got them both. I got them in my first term, and I was disappointed because I didn't think I'd be the president when this happened. But strange things took place. And now I've got them because I got the Olympics and I got the 2026 FIFA World Cup, and I wanted to claim the 250th, but I didn't get away with that one. I couldn't claim that one for myself. But we're getting the World Cup, so we have the World Cup and the Olympics coming, and that is exciting news. So this will be a year to celebrate our country and the heroes who have kept it free. Men like Buddy Taggart. At age 17, Buddy volunteered to defend America in World War II, serving in the Pacific under the great General Douglas MacArthur. He fought bravely in the famous Battle of Manila, worked so hard. He was badly wounded and almost killed by enemy machine guns in Luzon. And 81 years ago this month, he liberated the largest internment camp in the Philippines, one of the largest anywhere in the world. But he earned many honors, including a Purple Heart and a Bronze Star, came home, started a family, and tonight he is in the gallery looking forward to July 4th, 2026, his 100th birthday. So, Buddy, you're a brave man, and we salute you. Even in times of challenge, setback, and immense heartache, the spirit of 1776 has always shone through very brightly. It was July 4th of last year when floodwaters tore through a girls' summer camp in Central Texas, one of the worst things I've ever seen. I was there, rising 26 feet in the matter of minutes, tragically claiming many, many lives. You all remember that one. As the waters threatened to sweep her away, 11-year-old Millie Kate McClelland closed her eyes and prayed to God. She thought she was going to die. Those prayers were answered when Coast Guard rescue swimmer Scott Ruskin descended from a helicopter above. Nobody knew where he came from. It was Scott's first ever rescue mission, a young guy, but very brave, very, very top, always top in his class, and he lifted not just Millie Kate, but 164 others to safety. People watched Scott from a distance, and they couldn't believe what they were seeing. The winds were blowing, the rain was pouring, everything was going, and that rapid water, nobody's ever seen anything like it. They said, wow, that's something. Tonight, Scott and Millie Kate are here together, reunited for the very first time. Thank you, Scott, Millie Kate. And Petty Officer Ruskin, I'm pleased to inform you that I am now awarding you the Legion of Merit for extraordinary heroism, which is what it was, extraordinary heroism. Thank you. And I'd like to have the military aide to please come down and take care of the service. Military aide, thank you very much. Take care of that very important service. Thank you very much. From 1776 to today, every generation of Americans has stepped forward to defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And they're really doing it for the next generation. But now it's our turn. Together we're building a nation where every child has the chance to reach higher and go further, where government answers to the people, not the powerful, and where the interests of hardworking American citizens are always our first and ultimate concern. That is the debt we owe to the heroes who came before us, and that is the promise we must keep to America for our 250th year. Last year, I urged this Congress to begin the mission by passing the largest tax cuts in American history, and our Republican majorities delivered so beautifully. Thank you, Republicans. All Democrats, every single one of them, voted against these really important and very necessary massive tax cuts. They wanted large-scale tax increases to hurt the people instead. But we held strong, and with the great, big, beautiful bill, we gave you no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security for our great seniors. And we also made interest on auto loans tax deductible the first time, but only if the car is made in America. Recently in Pennsylvania, I met Megan Hauser, a devoted mom who's homeschools her children, beautiful, 2 children, during the day while waiting tables at night as her husband works overtime operating very heavy equipment. Megan is here this evening, and she's happy to tell you that she is so much richer because with no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and our expanded child tax credit done again by Republicans, Megan and her husband will take home more than $5,000 extra just for the year, cutting her tax bill in more than half. Megan, please stand up. We're fighting for you, Megan. Thank you, Megan. Thank you, Megan. We're fighting for you, Megan. Under our bill, parents like Megan can also activate their children's brand new Trump accounts. And I didn't name it.
All right, if you're outside the room right now, come on back into the room.
Nobody believes
Yeah.
me, but I did not name it. It was named
Did
by
this
Grisham.
fall out of his mouth?
Right there in the third row.
Hell yeah, look at him. It's raining out of his mouth. Are we sick of this?
This is something that's so special.
How many did you guys bring?
Through the roof. Millions will be.
This was unplanned. That was unplanned.
Ladies and gentlemen, the bingo is going to be pushed back. It's now time to throw dildos at dawn. We're going to do it during the speech. Everybody loves it. Hell yeah. All right, we're bringing the show back on track. Cut the crap on the Dawnster. Shut off Pumpkin Spice Satan now. Who brought all of these? We're trying to have a serious show, and we got like the dildo king of Minneapolis.
All right, I got
Let's
a question
get this
for
show
you
back
all.
on the road. It's a rain of dicks.
Are you ready to finish listening to the State of the Union? Sorry, let me put it a different way. Would you like the show to go on? Yes, the answer is yes. Would you like the show to go on? Would you like the show to go on? We're going to talk over my former boss, Donald Trump, and I'm going to welcome to the stage the Save America movement founder, Steve Schmidt.
Thank you. My friends, the State of the Union is appalling. And it is in crisis. A historic crisis unequaled since the Civil War. And we are, all of us, in danger. Tonight is a desecration. Tonight, a criminal who could not accept the fact that the American people rejected his attempt to return from power has returned to the scene of his crime. The greatest invention in American history was the peaceful transition of power, and it held from 1797 until 2021 on January 6th. 5 years ago and 49 days have passed. And tonight he returns desecrating his oath and the Republic. The State of the Union is catastrophic. Yet there is a crosswinds across the Republic. There is a spirit of defiance growing. And defiance is the cure. Our ancestors anticipated this moment. They saw the rise of a demagogue clearly. We should recognize that there have only ever been 700 million Americans, and that half of us who have ever lived are alive right now. And our obligation is clear. John Adams laid it out. He said, posterity, you will never know how much it cost the present generation to preserve your freedom. I hope you will make a good use of it. If you do not, I shall repent in heaven that I ever took half the pains to preserve it. We have no right to discard our children's inheritance. None whatsoever. We have a duty to oppose the wrong in the name of the right, and we will oppose it. We will stand for human dignity, and we recognize that the world's richest people of the most powerful corporations, the big media companies, the big tech companies, the big banks have made a decision for the privilege of resting their head on a Mar-a-Lago pillow. They are satisfied to live on their knees, but we are not. We shall defy this. We will not stand for an American Gestapo. And soon a tidal wave of revulsion will sweep over the American continent. And this will be repudiated, and there will be Democratic majorities in the House and in the Senate. Tonight, there are a great many lies being told. Lies about a crashing economy that is strong. We will hear lies about prosperity, but what he means is Bitcoin deals for his corrupt family and his friends. He is a sellout. He has sold out the Ukrainian people. He has sold out our allies. He has sold out the American farmer. And in this desecrated capital, under the dome, which Abraham Lincoln insisted be built during Civil War so that government of the people, by the people, for the people could be reconsecrated, under that dome, there will only be one truth tonight, and that is a silent truth, present in the dignity of the Epstein survivors, who will look at the men who cover up the crimes of this pedophile. They will look at Kash Patel. They will look at Pam Bondi. They will look at Kristi Noem, and no words need to be spoken, because between all of them and all of us, we know the truth. we know the truth. And let no one ever say that the American people did not know that in Social Circle, Georgia, a town of 5,000, 1 hour from the front door of CNN, that there is a concentration camp being built, a 1 million square foot warehouse being converted into a place of atrocity where children will be abused, where the maid and the gardener and people who were online following an orderly process were kidnapped. And there their medicine is denied, communion is denied, their human rights are degraded. There are so many lies tonight that they cannot all be counted. It is a lie about everything. We have never been weaker. Donald Trump's job was to unite us. He has divided us. It is the capacity of the president to show mercy. He has shown malice. He is an apostle of indecency, an apostle of cruelty. His entire administration is a grotesquerie. It is a travesty. We will oppose it. But above every lie, there is one lie that is more wicked than all of the rest. And it is the story of the sacrificial lamb. The lie to the American loser. The lie that says that nothing is your fault. The lie that exculpates you from responsibility. The lie that says something that you have not earned has been stolen by someone who is not a thief. That it is always somebody different. They're called Somali, or the N-word, or Mexican, or trans, or gay, or queer, or whatever vile name, libtard. Some are accused of having a derangement syndrome that only applies to the immunity of not being hypnotized by a first-rate demagogue and liar and con man. We reject that insanity. But this lie is not a new lie. It is the most dangerous lie and deadly in all of human history that says we will be great if only we cleanse the virus, the Somali, the immigrant, the Mexican, because freedom requires that we not be enslaved by the equality that says all men are created equal and endowed by their Creator with inalienable rights that include life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We are not bound to the blood and soil of ethnicity. It is a refutation of the cause of the American Revolution, which has been desecrated tonight as the U.S. hockey team desecrated its gold medal. Those young men will regret the moment that they accepted a Presidential Medal of Freedom that they have not earned from a tyrant. It will be the equivalent of the Fuhrer medal hung around Lindbergh's neck. And they will all repudiate this someday as this corruption comes to an end, as we bring it to heel, because we, the people, will not go gently into that good night. We will defy this. We will oppose it, and we will not kneel to Donald Trump. Trouble has come to our time. In 1936, Franklin Roosevelt looked out from Philadelphia at a Democratic convention, and he said that there is a peculiar rhythm to history, Of some generations, much is given, and of others, much is expected. I was born in 1970 in the middle of a generation that believed we had drawn the lottery in life, that we were of the generations to whom much is given. What Roosevelt said that night was, this generation has a rendezvous with destiny, and so does ours, because from our defiance will come the renewal of the republic, and ultimately someday the fulfillment of Martin Luther King's prophecy from the mountaintop. In the beginning, 6 months after independence was declared, with a Declaration of Independence heard around the world, the cause was on its last legs, all but over. And a letter came into George Washington's camp, written by a young Scottish immigrant. And that letter should be known today in our crisis. He said, Thomas Paine, the man who coined the name of our country, the United States of America, he said, these are the times that try men's souls. The summer soldier and the sunshine patriot will, in this crisis, shrink from the service of their country. But he that stands by it now deserves the love and thanks of man and woman. Tyranny, like hell, is not easily conquered. Yet we have this consolation with us, that the harder the conflict, the more glorious the triumph. What we obtain too cheap, we esteem too lightly. It is dearness only that gives everything its value. Heaven knows how to put a proper price upon its goods, and it would be strange indeed if so celestial an article as freedom was not highly rated. Thank you very much.
All right. Some thought it was funny. Some of us didn't approve the props that were thrown on the stage. But look, I'm not a prude, so look, whatever. Come at me, right-wing social media. I don't care. I've heard it all. I've heard it all. Before this next speaker comes up, I want to say something, which is what you're about to see really is another thing that's never happened before in the history of this country, actually. Never before has a former press secretary to a president come out and rebutted him live during his State of the Union. Now, I want to say something about Stephanie Grisham in particular. Whether you agree or disagree with people who were in the MAGA tribe, I'm very proud of anyone in this room who has stood up, everyone in this country who's standing up. But nothing is having a bigger impact on undermining this guy than when people from his own tribe defect. And I don't say that in any sort of self-laudatory way. I want you to know that those people you see out there, people like Olivia Troy and me and Stephanie go on TV, they ain't paying us to be out there. A lot of people I know who stood up to go against this guy have literally given up everything. Everything. That is remarkable to me. Not that they did that, but that they do it again and again and again. And we are seeing more people defect from Donald Trump's tribe. People we never expected to see. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Thomas Massie. And it is working. It is expanding our tent so that the political opposition in this country isn't just progressives, isn't just moderate Democrats, isn't just independents, isn't just disaffected Republicans. There's now MAGA people defecting. This coalition of defiant people is the most diverse political coalition in the United States of America. And I want to welcome to the stage tonight someone who very bravely defected from that tribe when she did not have to, former White House press secretary Stephanie Grisham.
Thank you guys. Thank you very much. Can you hear me? Yeah, I didn't think so. It felt wrong. I'm going to wait for, there it is. Perfect, okay. Thank you guys very, very much. I'm so honored to be here. Yes, I'm the one who never stood behind a podium at the White House, and that is because I could never bring myself to lie to you guys, to the American people. But I have to say I've racked my brains for weeks, honestly, to think of what I could say tonight that I have not said since the day I resigned on January 6th. And as Miles just said, there's really no personal upside for a lot of us to be here. After the tragic, tragic murders of Minnesota Senator Melissa Hortman and her husband, I too was contacted by the FBI to say I was on the list of the hitman. 5 years later, and I still receive threats all the time, and I fear some form of retaliation, whether it's violence towards me, towards my family, or just from the government. I tell you guys this to make one thing clear. This is not about pity, but there's just no selfish reason for any of us to be up here, and that includes you guys in the audience. This is really brave of you, and I'm really, really proud to be up here with you guys. I once believed in Donald Trump. I did. I defended him publicly and privately. The things I say today come from experience. 6 full, long years of experience. And I will tell you, this is going to piss him off. He used to say to me all the time, Stephanie, if you say it enough, people will believe it. And that was not a joke. That is his strategy. And I can promise you that he is lying right now to this country. I live in the Midwest now, very, very rural Kansas. I see farmers struggling. I see oil fields closing. Small businesses are trying to keep their lights on, and people are worried about their health care. This is all over the country, but it is also in rural America where he has forgotten them. He used them for their votes, and he has forgotten them. We can disagree on policy. That's democracy. But we must agree that character and honesty matters. That's not being woke. We are not woke. We're standing up for American principles. We cannot normalize this culture where truth is just nothing. We cannot normalize a president who lies literally every day. And I am begging you guys to continue doing what you're doing, because I'm finally seeing progress from when I first started this 5 years ago. The hardest lesson I've learned since I resigned from the White House is summed up in this quote. I guess the only time most people think about injustice is when it happens to them. So I am begging you, and I'm begging anyone watching, do not wait for that moment. It has happened to too many of our fellow Americans already. Many of them are here tonight, and sadly, some are not with us at all anymore. I'm really, really proud to be talking to you guys tonight. I wish I had a frog hat on. Thank you for standing up. Thank you for defying.
Please welcome to the stage former White House correspondent and award-winning journalist Brian Karem, host of Just Ask the Question.
How's everybody doing? You all having fun? I want to ask you for one favor as I start. Repeat after me. Truth to power. Truth to power. God bless you. And I feel like I'm in church. Can I get an amen? Hey, how you doing? It's kind of funny coming on after Stephanie because I sued her. Well, actually, I sued the Donald Trump administration. We'll get to that in a minute. I'm actually the guy who was the last White House reporter for Playboy. It's my fault that Donald Trump in the first administration started chopper talk. I saw him in March of his first year. He was walking out of the White House. We're standing there at the rope line. He usually just put his hand up and waved at us so wouldn't talk. And I got to tell you, that day he came out in a white shirt, red tie. You've seen it, blue jacket. His hair was in the breeze. His belly was out. For all the world, he looked to me like Rodney Dangerfield. So I said, "Hey, Mr. President, how you doing?" And he turned around and he said, "Playboy, what do you got?" And after that, chopper talk. Yesterday morning at the White House, Donald Trump called every reporter in the United States sick people and said, "We are on the side of criminals." Donald Trump is a convicted criminal. So let me be blunt. No, Mr. President, I'm not on the side of criminals. I am a reporter. I am on the side of vetted factual information. Because journalism, when done right, is a public service. And we need to do it right. I've worked in news for 43 years, running newsrooms covering politics, sports, I know I don't look that old, natural and man-made disasters, riots, wars, and as a former correspondent for America's Most Wanted, I covered a lot of crime. I've also covered every president since Ronald Reagan. So yes, politics and crime are often the same beat. I was jailed 4 times, more than any other reporter in the history of the United States, to protect a confidential source. I was once fired for asking President Bush a question he didn't want to answer. I was told I was rude. And as I just mentioned, I sued and beat Donald Trump in court 3 times to keep my press pass. I kicked his ass 3 times. But I will say, because of Donald Trump, his success is possible, and I hate to say this, because the free press is dead. Government, working with billionaires, murdered it. And they did it over 45 years, starting with Ronald Reagan. It started when Reagan killed the Fairness Doctrine and allowed media companies to buy each other out. Reagan single-handedly created the environment that destroyed hundreds of newspapers, like Katharine Graham's Washington Post, like Edward R. Murrow's CBS. First person I met in the White House when I walked in at the ripe old age of 24 was Helen Thomas. She taught me to be brave and to ask tough questions. Sam Donaldson taught me if I didn't ask hard questions of those I liked, I didn't deserve to be in the White House. Truth to power. Okay, I'll tell you my first day in the White House. You ready? So I meet Helen, I meet Sam, and I'm following them around because they're the best. And they walk up to Upper Press, a place I can't even go today. And Helen knocks on the door and tells the press secretary, Larry Speaks, to get his ass out there and talk to her. If I did that today, I'd be arrested. But the press secretaries used to bring her coffee and donuts. So while we're up there, Secret Service comes through and says, the Secret Service tells us that the president is coming to talk to Larry Speaks and we have to leave. So Sam and Helen leave. I'm 24 years old and a little nervous. I admit it. I turn and leave. I trip.